and welcome back to my channel. My name is Riley and today I'm going to be doing an update on everything I've been knitting over the past couple months. I think the last time I filmed a podcast was back in March, and then everything just got really busy, so I haven't had time to sit down and properly film a podcast on everything I've been working on. So because of that, I do have a decent number of things to show. So yeah, just jump right into it. So the very first thing that I have as a finished object is the sweater that I'm wearing right now. So this is my Pippi pullover by Leah, or Kiss Kiss Rhinestones on Instagram. So you can see, I'll stand up so you can see the bottom. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I did have to make a couple adjustments along the way, but overall I think that it honestly turned out better that way. So what I mean by that is the collar and the cuffs and even the very bottom here was all supposed to be the beige main color, but I ran out of that yarn. So I made some adjustments and I'm honestly really happy with how it looks with the chunkier colors in it. I think the colors together look really nice. I wanted to have it done for Easter, that did not happen. But it's still a good springy, summery kind of sweater to have. It is pretty warm, but I think that it's okay for chillier summer evenings. It's really loose. So far the other two finished sweaters that I have are definitely more fitted, and so I wanted something that was baggier and oversized. And so this was the perfect thing because there's no decreases in the arms, so it's just one long big tube, which is really nice. I don't know, it's very cozy. And I wish I had remembered to take a before blocking picture or video, because it really did grow quite a lot with blocking. It used to be maybe about here, and now it sits exactly where I wanted it to, which is awesome. All of the yarn I used in this was Drops. So I used Drops Soft Tweed for the main color, and then Drops Nepal in the pink and yellow. And the pink is actually left over from my step-by-step sweater, which is the first one that I ever made. I ordered 10 balls of the pink yarn. I still have one left even after doing the sweater and this, so I clearly ordered way too much the first time, but that's okay because it's nice to have some stuff in my stash that I can use in future projects. So yeah, the pattern is free. It wasn't on Ravelry when I first started it. It was just on Instagram, I think. But it is on Ravelry now, but still free, which is really nice. Because it is just a one-size-fits-all kind of pattern. Unless she's updated the Ravelry version of it, it was just a one-size when I found it. But I mean, it worked for me. Based on the measurements she gave, I figured it would be what I was looking for, and it did turn out the right way. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I've seen a lot of people make it, just on Instagram and stuff if you search the hashtag. But I'm really happy with the colors I picked, and I think that it was a good way to use up my leftover pink yarn. And I only have a little bit of the yellow left, and I've used up all of the tweed, so I didn't walk away with too much leftovers this time, which is nice. But yeah, it's very comfy. It is the teeniest bit scratchy, but I'm trying really hard to just ignore that. And I do find once I have it on for a little bit, I don't notice it. So yeah, that is my Pippi pullover, all completed finally. And then the other finished object that I have is my olives vest. And I'm going to be totally honest, I have a hard time telling which way is the front and the back. But if I line up the shoulders, this is the front here. I need to get those little tags that you insert and actually put one on the back of this because it is just too close to tell. So yeah, I've been doing a project vlog about this. So I won't get into too much detail, but this is Olive's vest by Knitting for Olive. I have it I have the book that this is in, so I used the book to knit it. And then I, of course, used Knitting for Olive yarn. This was my first time ever using their yarn, so it was really exciting. So I used their Merino in Dusty Artichoke, and then the Mohair, they were out of Dusty Artichoke, so I got Dusty Sea Green. And I'm honestly really happy with how the coloring turned out. If you can kind of see, like each stitch is just slightly different, which I think is really cool. Yeah, it's like super soft. I've never knit really with mohair before. I have an ongoing project that I haven't touched in a while that has mohair, but this is my first completed object with it that I've actually gotten to wear. And I do like it. I don't think I'll become someone who needs to put mohair in everything, partly just because it's kind of pricey. But I do think like some garments do look good with it, and I definitely will be adding it into future projects. But yeah, I think I knit size 2. And after blocking it, it does fit quite well. I will say I bound off the armhole like just a little too tight because I misread the instructions. They wanted you to like knit the rows, bind it off, and then sew it down, but I did like a sewn bind off, if that's the right word for it, where I just like folded it over and bound it off as I was sewing it down. So I think that just took away some of the stretch. It still fits. It doesn't like bother me too much. I can still get my arms through it and everything, but I just wish I had read the instructions a little closer. And then the bottom I bound off way too tight somehow. So I think I'm gonna go back and undo it and just make it a little stretchier, just because it kind of sits a little weird depending on what I wear it over, and I just want it to be able to, I don't know, look nicer and not just like get stuck and kind of bunch up. So one day I will fix that, but it's like good enough right now to wear with a couple things, so it's not super urgent. It's just a little sad that I don't know what I was doing, because I haven't really had this problem before where it's like so stiff and not stretchy. So yeah, other than that though, I'm really happy with it. I really love the color. I think it'll look nice with a lot of different things, especially once I fix the bottom and it can sit over things a little nicer. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this pattern. It was a little tricky to read, doing like the shoulder bits here, but I think that was just because like I've done short row shaping before, but I have heard other people say that knitting for olive patterns are like a little harder to read, like they don't hold your hand too much, like they don't really walk you through every individual part. They kind of expect to a certain degree that you know what you're doing. So once, I don't know, there were a couple parts like up at the top where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna knit like word for word or like stitch for stitch what they're saying, and maybe it'll start to make sense. And it did, once I kind of was like actually doing the knitting, it all started to make a little more sense, but just reading ahead was throwing me off. So that would be the only downside, but if you feel confident reading knitting patterns, I don't think there would be any issues. So yeah, that is my Olives Fest. Okay, and then for whips, I'll show this one, which isn't super exciting, but I have, I think, made a decent amount of progress since the last time I would have filmed this. So this is another Musselburgh hat, which I already made one in the exact same yarn. This is the Pro Lana Sockenwolle in bright red. I don't have the tag with me, but it is just like the brightest red I could find. So I already made one, and that was supposed to be for my husband, but it was just slightly too tight, so I kept that one for myself, and then this one is going to be for him in the next size up. It's a little slow going. I just work on it whenever I can. It's a great one to bring with me, like going out anywhere. I bring it to church. I brought it to like go get work done on our car, just anywhere where I'm going to be sitting for a little while. I like to bring it with me and just try and get in as many rounds as I can. We're going camping in July, and it gets really cold at night, and so I thought this would be nice to have done by then. It was supposed to be done at Christmas, but then it ended up being the wrong size, so it's late, but I'm hoping that even if it's done in the middle of the summer, it'll still be useful to him if I can get it done for camping and he can have it at night if he's cold enough. And then we'll have matching hats, which I'm really excited about. I think that'll be cute. I picked this color because of 21 Pilots, which is one of our favorite bands. So yeah, that's the reason behind the bright red, because it's not normally a color I'd go for, but we went and saw 21 Pilots in concert back in September, and so I just kind of was inspired by that, and I thought it would be fun. So yeah, there's not too much to say about this except that I still have, I think less than 10 inches now before I start doing the decreases. So that's something. We're into the single digit inches at this point, which is encouraging. But yeah, this is also just a nice one to work on at home when I feel like everything else I have going on requires like more attention than I want to give it at that moment, but I still want to knit. So I'll pick this up. Yeah, so hopefully this will be done pretty soon, but then I'm definitely going to need another stockinette project, or I'm going to have to get one of my projects to a stockinette point, but I will talk about that in a second. So yeah, we'll see how far I've gotten next time I record this. Okay, and I think the only other whip that I've made progress on that I would have recorded last time are my Petal drop socks. So you can see I'm just doing the gusset decreases right now. So I think I got it down to 10 rounds left of decreases, and then it'll just be doing the foot and the toe. So I definitely have taken my time on these. I think I just had other things like the side bow slip over that actually had like a deadline, and then there were things like the Pippi pullover and my Olives vest that I just wanted to have to wear sooner. But I've definitely picked up speed on these again, which is really exciting. I don't know what it was about the heel that I was just like intimidated by for a while, but I just like last week one afternoon decided to just finish like the heel flap here, and then now that I'm back to working in the round, I feel like I've got a good rhythm down. And now that it's actually really starting to look like a sock, I'm feeling definitely like more motivated to really finish it and want to wear it. And then I remind myself that there's a second sock, and I'm starting to understand a little bit more why people knit like 2 at a time. So we'll see if maybe that's something I choose to do in the future, but I don't know. I'm hoping that finishing the second one will make me want to cast on and finish the second one a lot faster, or finishing the first one. I can't remember what I said, but finishing the first one will make me want to finish the second one faster, and I'll understand the pattern better, so hopefully it'll go smoother. I will say I absolutely love this yarn. This is Noro Silk Garden Solo Sock. And I just think the colors are so pretty. I do want to get more of this yarn in the future. It's kind of pricey, but I just love it. Like, it's so pretty. I like want to knit with this yarn again, and I want to make this pattern again, but I want to make this pattern again in just like a very simple yarn so that the pattern can really pop, because I do feel like as gorgeous as all the colors are, like, I don't know if maybe it'll block out better, but I do feel like the lace pattern does get lost just a little bit. I don't know. I'm hoping that blocking it out, like, it really like pops and kind of shows it better, because just getting to like the stockinette part here Like I really feel like you can see the yarn so much better. So it's like I want to have the Noro yarn to do just probably like a plain sock or just like anything stockinette so that you can really see the yarn. And then I want to knit the Petal drop socks again so that you can really see like the pattern pop. But I just really do love this sock, like all together. I think the little pops of color are so cute and I think the texture is really fun. So I don't know, I just really like them both, and I feel like I want to like give them both an individual moment to shine, as well as like putting them together and making something really pretty. So that's where I'm at with the sock. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say except that it is, it's not quite a free pattern. It can be. It's by Florence Miller, and she has like a full tutorial on YouTube on how to knit these, and she also has codes in her Ravelry page for it, where you can choose to pay full price or half, or to get it for free. So she has made it super accessible, which is really nice. So if you're interested in learning how to knit socks, this is a really cool one. Yeah, I'd never done lace before this, but I feel like, I don't know, this isn't the most complicated lace pattern out there, but I do feel like it's a good place to start because it's repetitive and it just uses very simple stitches. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this is turning out, and I'm glad that I finally picked it up again, because I also have it in this little yarn bowl, and so it's just kind of been sitting as like decoration for months, and it's really pretty, but I would also love to have this be like a more functional yarn bowl and be able to rotate projects through it a little more regularly. So yeah, we'll see how that goes, and hopefully next time I record I will have a finished sock and the second one started, because if I don't start the next one right away, I think it might get put off, and that would be sad because I would like to wear them pretty soon. Okay, and so I have a new cast on that I would have talked about in the last video, and that is my mom's stick season sweater. So if you can see, it's coming up not quite as like vibrant, the color, but it is like a really gorgeous teal. It's got like little flecks of like purples and greens in it. It's just a really, really beautiful color. So I'm just working, like, I'm still kind of on the first step of just doing like the increases in the back, and then you knit just like back and forth for a while without any increases. It's definitely been easier doing this after already making one. Like, I'm definitely understanding the stitch pattern way better than I did the first time, which is nice. I'm knitting it on the same needle size, and also using like the same yarn that I used for mine, just in a different color, so that I know exactly how the gauge is going to turn out. The reason I say that is just because I'm using a bigger needle size than what it calls for in the pattern. And I think that might just be that I'm a tighter knitter than the Creabea or Rebecca. And she does mention that she's like a pretty loose knitter, so I think that might just be it. And I'm also using a thicker yarn, like a heavier yarn, which wasn't on purpose the first time, but it is on purpose now, just so that I can predict exactly how it's going to turn out when it's done. And I do think, if I remember correctly, I did still get gauge, so I'm not an expert at yarn math. I may have messed something up, but it may have still turned out okay. So because of that, I'm just going to continue doing what I did the last time, so that hopefully I get the same results. I don't totally have a timeline for this. We're going to visit in August, but I don't know if it'll totally be done by then. It would be nice to have it like pretty well done so she can try it on, and we can just see if I need to make the body longer, see how long she wants the sleeves. And then we're going for Christmas, and so it'll definitely be done by then. So that's the goal, is just to keep working on it steadily. But the yarn that I'm using is the Gathering yarn, Hayes Creek Heathers in Teal is the name of the color. I really love this yarn. It's just at my local yarn store, and yeah, this is like my third project using it, and I have plans for a fourth, so highly recommend. It's just pure wool, and they just have a really nice color selection, and I don't know, I just really like it. It's not a very scratchy wool, so hopefully my mom agrees that it isn't super scratchy and she likes it. But she did approve the color. She said wool was fine, so we'll see, I guess, how it turns out when I give it to her to try on in a couple months. So yeah, not too much to show, but it is started, which is exciting. And then I have another new cast on, which was just kind of like an impulse cast on, and that is the, I believe, the Clawsome Lobster Socks by Stone Knits. So you can see I've just finished, I'm like halfway through my first lobsters. And I've never done colorwork socks before, so I'm a little nervous about the floats. I've been trying to keep them like loose enough that you can still stretch it. So we'll see. They're also not for me, they're for a coworker. So the reason that I'm making them is because I have a coworker who, like, months and months ago, I was talking to her about knitting, and she was like, I want to start knitting. And I was like, you absolutely should start knitting. And so then she went and she bought some yarn, and then we didn't really talk too much about it after that, just like here and there. And then a couple weeks ago she came up to me and said, I don't think I'm gonna start knitting, but do you want my yarn? And so I said, sure. And so I made her some muffins in exchange because I felt bad taking the yarn, but she like just insisted on giving it to me for free. And the project that she had wanted to make was a lobster sweater. She just wanted, like, I think just like, I was picturing a basic kind of raglan sweater with like a lobster in the middle. And so she handed me the yarn, and this blue yarn that you see was one of the ones that she gave me, and I noticed it was a sock yarn. The other three skeins were just like pure wool, but this one was a sock yarn. And so because I knew I had a third ball of this red sock yarn, the one that I'm using to make the like hats, I was like, this is perfect. I was already planning on making her lobster socks, but now I can use the blue yarn that she gave me, that she bought, to make the socks, and then she can still have some kind of lobster thing with the yarn that she bought. And I can also get to see how colorwork socks are and if I enjoy making them, which so far it's been pretty fun. I like going through the rows and just completing one at a time. The only thing that I'm nervous about, other than like the floats and whether or not it's going to stretch, or if I'm leaving floats too long and it's going to like snag, which I don't know if I can go in and like felt it on the inside after, if that's a thing that people do. If anyone knows anything about that, that would be great to hear about, because I'm not keeping them for myself. I just want to make sure they're good when I hand them off, without her having to do like maintenance on them. But the other concern was she only had one ball of this sock yarn, and it's just like not quite enough for what the pattern calls for. So that's why I've done the cuff here in the red instead of using up the blue, because I have so much of the red yarn. And then you're supposed to do like the full chart, which is basically 2 rows of lobsters before you start the heel. But I'm just gonna do one and make them kind of shorter socks, just so that I don't run out of yarn. And then I might also do the toe and maybe also the heel in red, because I just don't want to run out when I go to do the second sock, because I just think it'll be a little harder to find the exact yarn, and it would probably, like, it wouldn't need 2 full balls of yarn. It would be like 1 and a little bit, and so I don't want to then end up with like extra yarn. So yeah, these are my lobster socks so far. I think they're so cute. You can kind of see the little eyes, which again, I just had some leftover black acrylic yarn from the folklore cardigans, and I think it's a little thicker than the other yarns, but because it's just like every dozen rounds and it's just like a couple stitches, I don't think it's a huge deal. But yeah, we'll see how these turn out. If anyone has advice on what to do with the floats on the inside so that like her toes don't get snagged in them, I've seen people say that happens to them. Any advice would be appreciated so that these are like a good gift and I don't give them to her and they can't get over her feet or her toes keep getting stuck in the floats. So if felting the inside is something you can do, that would be great to hear about. So yeah, I'm hoping to have these done relatively soon so I can give them to her and she can enjoy them. But they're working up decently fast. I just haven't put a ton of time into them. I've been rotating through projects a lot. Now that I'm done like the bigger ones, I just kind of pick up each smaller project and just work on it for a few rounds until I get bored and then I pick up something else. But we'll see how long it takes me to get through these. And then this is something that I'm very excited about because I don't often have acquisitions, but about a month ago there was a yarn festival about an hour away from where I live, and I decided to go because I didn't book the day off of work, but I just happened to have it off, and so I took that as a sign that I needed to go. So everything that I have here is from that yarn festival. So this first skein that I have here, this was the first one I bought. I like walked around, I probably did like 2 laps of the whole festival before I committed to buying anything because I was like, I can't go crazy spending money and I want to make sure that I really love everything I buy. So even though everything there was so pretty and cool, I did want to, you know, be smart. So this is the first one that I bought. And everybody was like from Alberta, like somewhere in Alberta. So this was from a dyer called Little Barn Studio. And this is in their colorway Goodnight. It's an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon blend. And so it's just like their sock yarn. But I just could not get over the colors in this. And she was saying that the story behind the name Goodnight is she had a friend who was on a trip somewhere in the UK, I think, and on the last night of her trip she took a picture and these were the colors in it, and so she dyed this yarn to kind of look like that picture, to like remember that friend's trip, which I thought was really cool. I don't know what I'm doing with this one yet because this is like my favorite maybe ever. I just think it's so pretty. I want to maybe get like a couple more and do like a sweater out of it. I'm honestly just scared to even like do anything with it because it just looks so pretty wound up like this, and I'm starting to understand why people collect just like hand-dyed yarn because it's just so pretty, and I feel like nothing that I make will be like good enough for it. So if anyone has ideas, like I want to do it justice. I want to make something out of it that I'll wear enough that I can like really enjoy it. I've thought about doing something like a no-frills sweater or just like another step-by-step sweater, just something like a plain raglan, but I think I'd need 3 of these, like including this one, maybe 4. So it would just be a little pricey, and I also would just be a little nervous because I've never knit something like stockinette with hand-dyed yarn. So I know you're supposed to kind of like switch yarns every row, so it's not a reason to not do it, but it is like just a little intimidating. But I do think that I would wear a sweater in these colors like all the time, so it might be worth the investment and learning how to work with yarns like that. But I just think it's so gorgeous. So that is the first one that I got. Then these 2 are both from the same vendor. They're called Novemberkin. These are both their bamboo sock yarns. So this one is called Kaleidoscope. So you can see it's very pastel. I just think it's so pretty. And these ones I am going to make socks out of. So I have the Cassandra sock and the Hermione sock saved. I think this one's going to be the Hermione sock, and this one's going to be the Cassandra sock. And this one is called Sunstrings. So it's just really beautiful yellow. But yeah, they're 70% superwash merino, 20% bamboo, and 10% nylon. You can tell I really love yellow. I love pastels, but they're so soft. They're so pretty. And these ones I think want as socks. Like I do want a couple socks, but that other skein I'm just like, I want to do something different. I just don't know what yet. So yeah, I'm really happy with these purchases. And then I didn't want to go too crazy, so the rest are minis, but I did pick a color palette. And I have no idea what I want to do with them. So if anyone has ideas of what to do with like 5 mini skeins, that would be awesome. So let's see, we'll do them maybe in color order. So this first one is by Cindy Marie Creates, and it's just like a blue, I don't know if it'll focus, but it's just a really nice blue yarn. There isn't a name for the color, but it's 75 superwash merino, 25 nylon. So that's my first blue yarn. Then this was actually the first one I picked up. This is from, they don't have their name on it, but it's like Ginger Snap yarn. And it's again a 75-25 superwash merino and nylon. And it's just got little like color flecks in it, which I thought were really pretty. I thought they looked good together. Then this one is Comfy Cozy Knits. It's an 80-20 blend. It's called Wild One. And I just thought this was a really nice, it's kind of like a hay color, but I thought it would look good with the blues. Then we have Crafty That Way, which is an 85% superwash merino, 15% Donegal tweed. It's their tweed sock mini in the color Antique Brass. So you can see it's definitely got like a stronger, like kind of golden color, and it's got those flecks in it. I thought that was really nice. And then this last one's like a brighter yellow. And this was by, they also don't have the name, but it was like Slan Baby. And this is in the color Golden Poppy. They don't have like the yarn composition written on it, but it feels very similar to this one here. So if we put them all together, this is the color palette we're working with. Here, let's see if I can hold this up better. So I don't know that I'm really a shawl person. I know that that's probably a good way to use them up and show like a nice color progression, but I just don't think I'd use it or wear it. So if anyone has ideas of like a fun kind of color work or any kind of like project that would use these up really nicely, let me know. I just wanted to collect some minis. So I'm also okay with them just kind of sitting for a little bit, and maybe I'll add to them from some other things and make like a bigger one and then make a bigger project out of that. But for now, I was really happy with this palette and getting to support a few more vendors without like spending way too much money, because I think full skeins from this many people would have been a little bit crazy for me. But minis felt like a good way to still support as many as I could at the festival. And then actually one more was, okay, I have to separate and figure out which ones came from that event and which ones I picked up at the Antique Mall. But I also started a bit of a button collection, which I'm really excited about because I have plans for cardigans and things. But they just had, well, okay, so it wasn't just yarn at the festival. They also had like quite a few other arts there, like, and they weren't all fiber arts, but they were all kind of fiber arts related. But some had more like accessories and things that could be useful for fiber arts. They had like people who did weaving. There's this one lady, and I regret not buying a bag from her because she made like bread bags, and I make sourdough, and it would be lovely to have a proper bread bag to put it in. So I followed her on Instagram so that I can kind of track down which other events she'll be at and if any of them are close enough to me that I can like justify going. So I can like hunt her down and get a bag, because that's the one thing that I'm sad I didn't buy. But they also had a business there called Reimagined Fabrics, which they had like a bunch of fabrics, but then they also had just kind of like this basket full of buttons, and it was like 4 packs of buttons for $1. So I got some buttons. So they were all gold, which was kind of funny for me because like normally I'm more of a silver person, but these ones just I thought were so pretty. So I have these like chunky like round gold ones. Then I have these flat gold ones. And then these ones that have kind of like just a pattern on them. So I'm stuck between these ones, and then I just got this like little baggie full of random ones. And they have these like pearly gold ones. So I'm stuck between these and these for my book club cardigan that I'm going to be buying the yarn for soon. So I think once I get the yarn and start knitting it up, I'll see which ones pop the best, or if I want the ones to kind of blend in. I think these would blend better. These would really stand out. So we'll see. Yeah, so I got a good little collection of buttons started there for really cheap. And then there's the Antique Mall in Edmonton. And I thought, well, maybe people sell buttons there. And there was a booth that was like everywhere you looked was more buttons. So I picked up a couple more. So I have these wooden ones that I thought were really pretty. Then I got these white ones. Again, just kind of shiny. Then I found these, which are so pretty, but super tiny. So I think they might end up being something like on a sleeve, because they're way too small to be like a proper button at the front, I think. And then I got these pink ones, which I was thinking if I do any kind of like sweater or cardigan with this, that's like such a good match for the pink. Like, I think it would be so pretty. So I'll have to do something here, but I don't know, these make me think of bubblegum. I just think they're so cute. So the Antique Mall has now become a dangerous place for me to go, because I think I'll just keep going back to that booth and buying more buttons, and I don't make enough stuff to justify having a crazy collection of buttons. So I think I need to work through a couple of these before I go back and buy some more. Because they're not, I mean, I wouldn't say they're not going anywhere. I'm sure lots of people are going to go buy buttons, but the ones that I will really love to have will be there for me when I need them, you know? So I don't need to go crazy. And I think that's all my acquisitions. I am planning to buy more yarn very soon. I think in a couple days I'm going to go back to my local yarn store, and I'm going to get the yarn for my book club cardigan, which is going to be, I want it to be brown. I think I might do a darker brown than her sample knit. And that's the book club cardigan by Sari Nordlund. Because hers is more of a tan color, like a little darker than this, but I want like a brown. And so there's the Comfort Wolle by Pro Lana. And it's like a tweed yarn, and they have a nice, more like chocolatey brown. But I didn't realize it's a superwash yarn. It does say it's really, really good for cables, which the cardigan is all cables. I think I'm just a little scared of superwash yarn just because I've never knit with it before. I've heard that it like stretches a lot more. So if anyone has advice on that, that would be great. I also read up on it and people say it does stretch, but not like such a crazy amount to which you need to knit like a whole different size of something to account for it, but maybe just make it a little shorter because it will like stretch lengthwise. So I'm okay with the cardigan becoming like oversized. I think that's kind of what I'm going for anyways, is I don't want it fitted or anything. I do want it like a little bigger and comfier. So I think I'll probably keep that in mind. And yeah, if anyone has advice on superwash yarn, that would be great, because I haven't really knit anything with it before, especially like not that kind of scale. So I'll be buying yarn for that soon and casting that on, because my deal was I needed to finish this in order to purchase yarn for another sweater. So that's ready to go. And then my sister-in-law is finishing her first ever hat pretty soon, and when she's done that, she's going to cast on the side bow slip over. So we're gonna go yarn shopping together, and I'm gonna get my yarn for that and she'll get hers. So I'm gonna be patient and just wait, and then that way we can make it together and I can help her through it if we're kind of going at the same pace. So yeah, I'm excited to have that one too. I'm gonna do that in, I think it's Estelle Lino Cot, which is just a cotton linen blend, kind of in this color. But then there is the Rico yarn, I think it is, Make It Tweed, and I'm gonna do the rainbow or the pastel one. I can't decide just yet. I think I'm gonna go towards pastel, but I just thought that would be really fun to add in like a tweed to it. I've really wanted to use that yarn for a long time, and I just think this would be a good opportunity to use it, because that way it's still like overall a neutral like colored slip over, so it'll match a lot of stuff, but the little flecks of color will also, I think, make it match nicely with more things. And also just, I think it'll look really pretty. So I'm not sure when that'll be. She's been pretty busy, but I think she's just doing the decreases on her hat right now. So whenever she's done and ready to go, we'll head back to the yarn store and pick up yarn for that. So yeah, those are all my finished objects, my current whips, acquisitions, and a couple plans for the hopefully pretty soon future. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any advice or pattern suggestions, let me know. I will always be happy to take any advice. I haven't been knitting that long. If I look at it, I don't have too many finished objects. I'm just learning so much with every single thing. So any advice or tips would be wonderful to have. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can see future videos, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!